Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the AP US Government and Politics series on AP for Teens. Today we're going to be starting that topic that we mentioned earlier, federalism, which is the central idea of the Constitution. So let's get started. Now, in the last video on the series, we talked about a couple things. We talked about what the Constitutional Convention was, the major decisions of the convention, and the divide that occurred afterwards. You should be on that side. Go over there. Alright. The divide between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. Now, in today's video, we're going to discuss federalism. We're going to discuss what federalism is, the powers of the governments, and governments in the plural. I'll explain the S in a little bit, and a few of the clauses in the Constitution. So let's get started. Let's start with that first bullet point. What is federalism? Well, federalism is a system of government where the national or federal government shares power with the local or state government. This is contrasted by a confederation, which you may remember from the Articles of Confederation, a system where the power is primarily given to the states. Now, the reasoning for this is that the states are closer to the people, so they have a more direct connection with the citizens and are thus able to make better decisions. Meanwhile, the federal government is only given power for international conduct, for treaties and wars and other big things like that. They don't really need to deal hands-on with the citizens in a confederation government. Some states that currently use federalism are Germany, Scandinavian countries, and Australia. Now, the power of the governments. Now, the different powers of the governments are split between one of three different options. That could be strictly national, it could be strictly state, or it could be a combination between the two. Part of it could be dealt with the national and the state government. Now, the Constitution specifically states what powers go to who. For the national government, for example, they have the power to be one of a couple names. Delegated powers, expressed powers, enumerated powers. They all mean the same thing. Those are national powers, powers that are only given to the national government. Some examples include printing money, as you can see there. Regulating interstate conduct, interstate trade conduct, and foreign policy, including war. As you can see here by the wonderful war demonstration. State powers are different. The powers that belong to the state government are called reserved powers. Now, according to the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, this is a quote from the 10th Amendment, the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now, examples of these powers can include issuing licenses, like gun licenses, driver's licenses, regulation of intra-state business. Now, these are businesses that deal only in a state. And federal elections. The states are the ones that run and pay for these elections. Now, the combo meal, powers that are both national and state powers. Powers shared by both the national and state government are called concurrent powers. Examples of these can include collecting taxes, building roads, courts, and borrowing money. Clauses of the Constitution. Now, the full faith and credit clause in the Constitution states that the federal government has to protect the states and must prevent states from doing their own thing without congressional consent. In return, the state must accept the actions of all other states, and they can't contradict it based on the fact that their state believes something else. The Privileges and Immunities Clause states that the state cannot refuse a public service to a citizen because of where that person lives. So you can't refuse to drive on a state road if you're from a different state. Extradition is when fugitives from one state must be returned to that state. Now, this is still the case when it comes to laws and jail time and other things like that, but this was primarily used in the past for slavery. And the Supremacy Clause. Conflicts between state and federal laws are resolved in favor of the federal law, and you see this a lot in Supreme Court cases between a state versus the United States government. Now, next time, we're going to go over the different types of federalism, the working definition of federalism, grants and how they impact federalism, and advantages of disadvantages of federalism. We're not going to do all of it in this one video. We're going to split it up into two different parts to make it easier for you guys. Thank you very much for watching this episode. As always, please subscribe, leave a comment, or like in the sections below. Answer the question that's in the comments as well. Thank you very much for watching. As always, watch the next video, and take care.